All right, so a lot has happened in the crypto market. Well, not a tremendous amount, but there's a lot of alts that look pretty good. We're looking at least four, just off the top of my head. TRX Link's looking pretty good. Dash is also looking pretty good. MATIC also looks like a good opportunity. It's just right at the zone I don't want to enter just yet. So we really haven't entered anything just yet, but we're really wanting to see the price hold our new levels of support. BTC has yet to kind of make that second push. Some of the alts we will talk about within this video already have made that push, like Cardano. It's clearly broken the descending zone. And we do see that the previous resistance here is now holding at a nice new level of support, but it's really way beyond the resistance there, and we see that with some of the other pairs. We see Litecoin as well. We were looking at this for a while, did not enter, made a pretty quick push that was like maybe 5%. Would have possibly been a good entry to start off as a little bit of a front runner play where we haven't really seen a lot of the alts move towards the upside, but this could be like I said, a front runner, which is like an early mover within the market shift. So I'm looking at within the other monitor that I have different alts. I will be entering if we do see a pretty quick shift in supply and demand. We just got the 1 hour candle to close. There's a brand new hour candle that just came in, so it will be exciting to do the analysis with the brand new fresh new hour candle. Overall, the last previous candle got a little bit more sell pressure, but we'll see what the market looks like. It did get more sell pressure than the other pairs, but it could be a no supply. So we'll start off with, we'll basically go through every single alt. So we'll start off with TRX and then move left. Looks pretty good in terms of the price action. Start off with the 4 hour chart here. We got a pretty solid move towards the upside, seeing a lot of higher highs and higher lows. This is that bigger double bottom that we've been talking about. Let's make it like so. So this is that bigger double bottom we're talking about. And then let's get a picture of what we're going to be discussing here. Just looking at market structure, we see that the previous resistance, level of support, level of resistance, and we see that right around here, previous level of resistance, new level of support. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect because you see the wick all the way up to here. So we do have to incorporate that, which would probably be somewhere around here. But we do see that it's a pretty well-respected zone. And we're going to use this level of support on the daily and 4 hour that we discussed. That's going to be right here as our key level within the chart, which we can see when we go here. Oh, wait. It's right here. Never mind. We do see another zone, though. I guess we could put it as a zone. I do see another one right here. I really do. So we could put it as a zone. So like so. But I didn't incorporate this. Oh, I know what I did. Okay, so what I did is on the 1 hour, this is a more respected zone. And we're already above this larger time frame zone like so. Okay, I see what I did there. So I did incorporate it initially. So that's how it initially looked. And then I thought it looked too messy, so then I deleted these. So then now we just have basically what we have on the 1 hour chart. So we'll discuss what we have on the 1 hour chart at this point. And structurally speaking, we've made a higher high. We're looking like we could potentially make a higher low. We've broken a resistance, and it looks like we're holding a nice level. We have a nice new level of support, and we've also broken our descending zone like so with 1, 2, 3. We didn't really get an interaction on the way up, but we are getting a nice interaction for a new level of support on the pullback. Within the volume, obviously, this volume and some of the other volumes here distorts what we currently see, so it's not going to really give you a good indication of what's happening. So if we go kind of like this, we can see that on the move to the upside, we see that there's a lot more volume towards the upside than there is sell volume within the consolidation, which shows that there is volume accumulation. There are buyers entering the market and holding the pair instead of sellers trying to distribute it into the market, not wanting to hold the asset. So it's looking pretty good for TRX. I do see a nice little level of resistance here that I do want to see the price pass before I look to enter. And we do see some higher lows here, sort of like that. So we are creating a nice little ascending triangle. We could probably clearly see that on the 15-minute chart. Not really going to dive into it because we already know what the small price action pattern indicates. We're looking for a push to the upside, breaking the resistance. And that's basically our entry signal for the 1 hour time frame to close above it. We have volume accumulation. There's a lot of indications on the larger time frame and on the smaller time frame that show that we could have a surge, or at least some buy volume, bringing our the price up to the next level of resistance, which is around 2233 ish. We see that it's a nice level of support, resistance, resistance, and kind of level of support. A little bit noisy around this zone, but we do see it's a pretty well respected zone throughout the chart, which is going to be the first level to take profit. And then we got our second one here, making the shift from the market structure here, previous roof, next floor, and then we have those take profits as well. We have the final one up there. So we'll see how the market goes. We're just seeing a little bit of sell pressure in the market right now, so we're not looking to enter just yet. We're looking at BTC as well, seeing the market structure. There's not a whole lot of volume coming in within this consolidation, so we're going to stay very patient, wait to see if there is a bullish engulfing candle, if there's a candle that has a lot of buy volume coming in that's able to push it, creating a new higher high. That would indicate for me, that would be the final indication that I would need in the criteria for me to enter. We already have injections of buy volume the first time and then the second time, but we're not really able to get it above a particular zone. So that's something that we want to be looking for an entry confirmation. So that's TRX. Now looking at Link. Now let's go to the 4 hour. We already talked about this zone, this green zone, and why it's so important. Looking at the previous price action all the way back in July of 2019. On the daily, this was candle closures, so we got the candles to close right at this zone on the daily chart. And then looking at the 4 hour, previous support, resistance, resistance, resistance. So we can see that that is a pretty key zone within the chart right there. So then looking at the current market structure, let's just talk about it on the 4 hour, and then we'll be able to discuss it on the hour chart. So this is the major structural low that we're looking to hold, which is the demand zone. We do see higher lows getting held right here, so we are making a squeeze. It's a little slower, but that's not a bad thing. And then we also saw the price hold this level of resistance, squeezing into the apex of the pattern, which is right there. The price broke towards the upside, made a higher high, and we're looking for the price to make a higher low from this low, also potentially in confluence with this ascending zone, creating a good level in which we have a good amount of dependability that the price is going to hold that area. So now we can dive into the 1 hour, because we've already discussed the overall market structure on the 4 hour. And we already have some nice levels here. So this is a very, very key zone of confluence, because we have the horizontal zone, we have the descending zone, and we have the ascending zone all coming together at a central point. We're just waiting to see the shift from lower highs and lower lows to some level of buy pressure, market seeing a double bottom, market seeing a bullish engulfing candle on maybe a 4 hour or 1 hour, seeing like a pin bar or a couple pin bars with bodies of the candle closing right here, maybe touching this zone here. That would, for me, would be an indication that there's a lot of buyers in the market. Just something that shows me that there's a lot of buyers. There's a lot of things that are able to do that, and we have a criteria and a list of things that we are looking for that we always explain and talk about. So seeing lower highs on the 15-minute chart, you could probably draw a trend line there, and once it breaks that trend line, making potentially a double bottom, testing that support again for a second time. And once we get that validation that there's buyers within that market, then we'd be looking for a nice long opportunity with an entry here, stop loss below the higher lows that we're able to make, and then first level take profit, probably 2.2, 2.3-ish to risk reward. So 2.3-ish, maybe 2.5. And then to the next level of supply. I don't exactly know what that would be, but these would be your two levels of profit. And then I'd potentially leave some if it does go above the zone, because this is the all-time high at like $4.80. Very, very significant zone. We saw it reject twice, making a double top, and then now we're potentially making another test for this zone. So we'll see how the price reacts to it. I think it might be best to leave a little bit of profit to see how it reacts instead of just instantly taking profit. I do think that hard take profits are important, especially when you are in a range, but we'll see how the market reacts. We'll see how BTC reacts. If BTC is able to break above its key descending zone and make a structural higher high, and then maybe retest this previous zone of resistance. Like right here, we see a squeeze occurring on BTC where there's higher lows and lower highs coming in, and this would be the apex right here. So if we're able to see a break above this zone and then maybe even break above the market structure highs, that obviously would indicate a strong bullish conviction and confidence that would give a lot of alts some bullish push and pressure as well. So that's what we're looking for on Link. We can now go to BNB and talk about that. This next 1 hour candle is looking a little bit more bullish, or sorry, bearish. It's closing, or it's going a little bit more down. 10 minutes in, we obviously have a lot of time, 50 minutes until the close. So BNB is definitely broken our first descending zone, and we haven't, it looks like structurally made a higher high. Let's just look right here. No, we definitely have. Looking at the previous support and resistance zones, we could say we made a structural higher high because we have. If we put the trend line all the way down here, there's multiple ways of doing it. You could theoretically draw two, but I think we definitely have made a higher high, and we are testing this nice new level of support. We do have a lot of sell volume come in with that candle right here, which did not move a lot at all, which for me does show that even though there was a lot of sell pressure that came into that market there is an almost equal amount of buy pressure that came in right there because the transaction volume is so high, but the market didn't move really significantly at all compared to right here. There's a lot of sell pressure just visually looking at the price action because it moved from here all the way down with a big wick at the top, but looking at the volume, there actually wasn't much volume. But then in this candle, there was a tremendous amount of transactions that took place, but the market didn't move that much in terms of the price because there was a lot of buy pressure keeping it at that level. So that's pretty good to see. Let's look at the 1 hour. For the 4 hour, it looks very similar to a lot of the different markets in the alt coin market. We have a nice structural support right here, making a rejection the first time. Let's get our arrow. First rejection right here of the buyers picking the price back up, and then we see for the second time, and then third time, and then fourth time, making a nice little double bottom right here, as well as a larger double bottom with the breakup point at the $24 range for the larger double bottom, and the breakup range for the smaller double bottom would be at like $22.60-ish. It looks like we're about to break that zone right now, and we'll talk about it on these smaller 1 hour time frames. But structurally speaking, it does look pretty good. We do have a zone of confluence with the lower highs here. That isn't super confirmed, that trend line, because we only have 2 touch points. A third touch point will make it a potentially dependable zone, and then the fourth touch point would make it a dependable zone. We only have 2, so it's not super important, but we do have a zone of resistance here. We can see it was a pretty key level of rejection and level of support in basically the middle of February and then the 18th of February. So it's a pretty important zone to consider, the $24 range, but we do have quite a bit of space before we get to that area, like 6%, so that could be a nice move towards the upside we could capture. So definitely something to potentially look at for an entry. I want to see what BTC does. I want to see what this candle closure does, but overall, it does look like a good opportunity. If it does break this zone, then I'd be looking bullish as well, with our major level of supply around $26, $27. And we'll just look at why. Well, first, initially, it was a rejection of that zone right there. And then looking on the daily chart, we can see that it was a key level of support back in July 2019. And then it was also a rejection point of a resistance back in May of 2019 as well. And then looking back, not really the high, but it was sort of there. So that's basically BNB. Looking at the hour chart, we'll leave it there. And we're happy with the market structure. Looks pretty good. You know, you're not risking a tremendous amount if you are looking to enter at around this point. We have enough of a confirmation, in my opinion, to potentially get a move towards the upside. You have the previous low as the level of support, or that you'd have for the final stop loss area. So I'd put mine just below this zone. You could put it kind of lower below the structure right here that it's making, but that would be a potential. And then what you'd also look for a first level take profit is sort of a risk reward of 2 to 1 ideally. This has a risk reward of 2.4-ish to 1. If you're taking your first take profit maybe at the minimum there, 2.1. So that might be a good level of first take profit. And then you'd look for the next zone right here, and then you look for the next zone right here. If you're looking for those higher take profit levels, I think a 50% here would actually be not a bad idea. But yeah, I'm not convinced just yet that we're going to make a strong move towards the upside. I'd like to see at least one hour candle that's a strong bullish push, kind of forming a new high that holds. That is what I would want to see for a lot of these alts before I look to enter, because a lot of them are consolidating, which is great. It's in a potential reaccumulation phase, which is awesome. But I'd like to see the price make a bullish push initially with the 1 hour candle. So then we have more of a conviction from the bulls that we're going to make a move in a next leg up towards the upside. And that's basically what I'm waiting for. We might be, unfortunately, having to enter, at the highs here when it's actually broken above the resistance instead of entering here. Potential would be entering, trying to get a feeler trade at the lows here. So if it does break, you're not losing too much because you're able to manage risk. And if we do get the price to come a little bit lower and find a new level of support yet again for a next major kind of low within the consolidation, then we could potentially look to enter a nice feeler trade on a couple of alts, not gaining too much exposure to the long side, but still being able to kind of enter at the potential reaccumulation phase that we are seeing with many of these alts. So that's BNB. Let's now go to Ethereum. Taking a step back, let's look at the daily chart. We haven't been taking a step back as much looking at the daily and weekly on all of them because we do a crypto market update on every single, not every single, but we do a crypto market update every single day, and we look at the daily and weekly at least once or twice, or we look at the weekly at least once or twice a week, and then we look at the daily probably once a day. So it doesn't make sense to go over the weekly every single day. But let's now go over Ethereum. Do have a structure right above us at 287, 286. That's a pretty significant resistance that we do see on the daily chart. Even zooming back all the way from 2018, it's a pretty key level that we've seen in the chart. So just something to consider if you're looking for longs. If we do break that zone, you do have a little bit of resistance. I think we could maybe move this zone a little bit higher up and then make it a double zone, and then I might just take this one off because it might be a little less relevant, I think, than this next supply zone, which you can see major level of support, resistance. So I think that's going to be the new zone instead of the zone that we're currently using. And then we'll just switch to the weekly chart just for one last look at the major zones, because the weekly chart will really show us a lot. Really, the volume we're seeing on Ethereum is very healthy. We're seeing increasing buy volume coming in. Wow, that's really strong. I really like the look of that. And then we see a double bottom with the second low being higher than the previous low. Not really a true double bottom, but that shows that the bulls are not able to, I guess, wait and get patience to form that second bottom, and they're already attacking the price before it even goes back to the previous low of $78. And then we saw an absolute surge of buy volume come and pick up the price up, and then we're now currently seeing the price. I might move this a little bit higher up just so on the weekly chart it's looking very precise there. And then on the daily I might shift this here and then see how that looks on the daily chart. The weekly and the daily are great for your major horizontal zones. That is very true. And then we get to see it's not perfectly in line here, so I might shift it a little bit on the daily, just so it's a little bit more in line. We do see candle closures and stop supports right here, as well as resistances. Just looking back a little bit further. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with where my zones are now at this point. So we got some higher lows, which is great to see. And we got an ascending support connecting them. We do see that the market is now making higher highs and higher lows, with the price already making higher lows, and now their market structure has shifted, breaking the current resistance and holding it as a nice new level of support. We can also see it's a pretty key zone within the chart. We can see it's a level of support, turns into a resistance, support again, resistance, and it could be a support. Could draw a descending trend line right around here, but I think it just makes more sense to kind of treat this zone as a horizontal area. Looking at the 1 hour now at Ethereum, Could draw that descending zone yet again here. I think I will, so that will be in red. And then we'll also put a projection because we do see that was the outline of the price action with the wicks. And then now we're going to go into the pattern with the projection to kind of create a zone. And we also have a zone for the support as well there. So I'm also going to just draw that again because I want to get it to the very end. And then we're going to go away from the pattern, capturing the wicks. I think I can do like that. All right, so we got basically the structure here. Made a previous resistance into a new level of support. I think we can also draw in more ascending trend line if we really wanted to, right around there. So it's an even more ascending trend line, creating that squeeze. So if we get a squeeze right around here, if we break, we could come back down here. It's not going to be a significant move. 6%, that's actually worth a potential entry on if we're risking maybe 2% or even 1% or 1.5%. That would be really good. Maybe 2%, that would be a pretty solid risk reward. So we're just making our way up. I don't think Ethereum would be the best because we do see other trades that have already broken the descending zone, like we can see, which has a little bit more, for me at least, of a probability of moving towards the upside, whereas this hasn't really broken it. You could make the argument that this was the zone that it broke totally, but yeah, we'll see. If the market moves towards the upside and kind of breaks these zones here, then I'd definitely be looking to enter. I don't think it's a bad entry to enter at the lows here because it's making a move towards the upside. It's potentially breaking the market structure highs here. We already see a pretty high conviction of BTC making a new higher high as well. So we'll see how the market acts, and that's my analysis for Ethereum. XRP, man, we entered and we got wicked out. So unfortunate. So we entered at the no supply right here. Let's just get our entry. So we entered right here with our stop loss just below the previous low, like so. And then we had our first take profit around here. So we were pretty spot on with the bias. We got wicked out. You can't really get mad at this stuff, honestly. Well, you can, but that's just getting mad for. Can't really get mad at the market. This shit happens. But that was our trade potential. First level take profit here. Second level take profit at this zone, and then third level take profit at the highs there. So we'll see. I'm not really looking to enter. There's other opportunities in the market. That was the entry for me. There was a really, really good level of previous resistance, new level of support. We dipped down a little bit, but I saw that reaccumulation phase happening, or the accumulation phase happening. I saw the nice level of support that it created with a very strong push. And then once we're able to hold with a lot more buy volume coming into the market and then sell volume, and we kind of saw the sell volume diminish right here, and the buy volume come in with more buy volume coming in that's stronger than the sell volume. That for me, there was decreasing sell volume and increasing buy volume here. So for me, I don't know, there's a lot of things that indicated that there was a potential move towards the upside, and we took an entry that I thought was a pretty high probability situation. We got one wick to hit us out of the trade, and then we moved to the upside. We probably would have moved our stop loss to maybe not break even, but basically close to it. So we're almost risk-free. That would have been a great trade to get in on an early front-runner trade. So we have exposure in the market already before we're even taking the more heavier trade. Because, you know, you got to look at risk management in terms of not just, you know, taking a 2% trade of your total portfolio every single time. That's not a good way to go about things. You could grade certain setups, you could grade certain situations. You know, if you're in a very strong move toward the upside and you see a nice symmetrical triangle, an ascending triangle, and it's a very, very great solid pattern with all the criteria hit, you'd take a pretty heavier trade than what you take on something like this, where you don't see a tremendous amount of confluence in terms of a descending zone and a horizontal zone, but you do see confluence in the volume and the VSA, volume spread analysis, as well as the technical analysis, breaking resistances, holding supports. Market structure is seeing structural higher highs and higher lows. You see that there's a lot of wicks on the 4-hour and hour chart on this zone right here, as well as look how well it's respected in the previous price action. For me, there's a lot of indication that we could see a move to the upside, and unfortunately we got wicked out, and that's just how it is. We do see that there's a squeeze in price occurring right here, so this could be the reaccumulation phase for the next leg up in markup phase for the next level of supply, or the next zone of sensitivity that we have to see the next I guess reaccumulation potential phase to see how the market reacts, see if the market holds, see if there's buyers in the area willing to buy at those prices. So we will see how the market reacts. I'm potentially probably going to be entering the other alts we already talked about. So XRP does look like a potential opportunity. I'm going to delete this right here and then kind of redraw this trend line with the recent market structure. So it looks a little bit cleaner. So that's that zone right there. And then we don't really have a descending zone. I could draw a descending zone right here with two confirmations. We don't really have a nice level, and I could just draw a projection there, but I'm not really going to. And then this looks a little bit messy. I'm just going to redraw that just so it's a little bit cleaner and easier to understand. I think on the 4 hour we'll be able to see this in a little bit more. Yeah, so on the 4 hour it's a lot cleaner. There's a massive rejection wick right there, and then we got a dump soon after. So that's going to be the next key level of supply. On the 4 hour we can really see that there's a tightening in volume as well. There's a contraction, there's a pullback, right? There's a tightening where there is, it's like a funnel kind of, where there's less and less, and then if the volume is contracting, there's going to be a surge sooner rather than later. Kind of like we saw here, contraction in volume, and then boom, a surge in volume. We see that, time and time again. We see this right here, a contraction, and then boom, a surge in volume. Same here, contraction. We see on the sell side, surge in volume. We see higher lows. We can connect that with an ascending trend line. You see it time and time again. So we could see a pretty big push here. So, it's not a bad opportunity, I think. Just looking at the volume, looking at the different confluences, I think we could draw a trend line here. We could get a little better zone. So that's definitely looking a lot more appealing for us with the 4 hour chart in mind. Broken the market structure higher, or broken the market structure high to make a higher high, broken the descending zone. Obviously there is another zone here that we haven't broken, which is very unconfirmed. There's a little bit more of a confirmation with the type A and then the type B with a massive rejection, and then we've broken up above it, retested. If this candle closes red, we're seeing a tightening in volume, right? We're seeing the wicks come lower and then the candle closures come higher. This is a tightening, it's a squeeze. On the 1 hour looking, we do see, it's not perfect, but we do see kind of a squeeze occurring with lower highs and higher lows. I think on even the 15-minute might not be perfect, but you do see a squeeze as well. Actually pretty clear, so XRP actually looks pretty good. I like it. I might be, I'll actually post this right now. If I didn't on the Discord, sorry for the look, for the little bit of a late, I guess I'm just going to post this really quickly. Because on the 4 hour, this looks like a great pattern. Look at that. Rejection point, nice ascending zone, broken the resistance, new level of support. We can even make that a little bit lower. We do see the resistance right here, but within the recent price action, which is the most important, we do see a pretty good, well-defined area of a level of support there. A lot of confluence. The volume I really like. The fact that it's contracting, the fact that we see more buy volume than sell volume on the 4 hour. And on the 1 hour, we see significantly more. Within the accumulation phase, we see that there's more buy volume than sell volume. Other than this one candle right here, we see overall there's more buy volume than sell volume, which is volume accumulation. We see a lot of wicks to the downside, not a whole lot of wicks to the upside, which is good. We see strong bullish candles on the upside. Overall, it looks pretty darn healthy. So that's a potential that I'm definitely going to be looking at. So I'll just post this really quickly. I just wanted to talk about why we wanted to enter this here. So I'll post this really quickly, and then we'll move on to different pairs. Okay, so I did that, and then I think I spelled info. Yeah, I spelled info wrong accidentally. Edit. So now we will go on to other pairs. Looks good. That will be definitely on our radar. TRX is on our radar. XRP is on our radar. Link's on our radar. BNB not so much. Ethereum not so much. But those three definitely for sure important. And then EOS. Yes, it has broken the zone. It looks like it's holding. We see a rejection. So let's just talk about the 1 hour chart. Actually, let's go all the way back to the 4 hour chart. Let's do this properly. At least to the 4 hour at a minimum. Because obviously we want to do top-down analysis. On the 4 hour, we don't love I don't love the amount of sell volume there is. Massive rejection. We do see a climb up, but on the 4 hour, we haven't broken above the zone. We have, but like, you know, one little move up could basically say that we're now below the zone. So not a lot of confirmation on EOS. Not really going to dive into it because we haven't broken over the zone. We have a strong level of resistance here that's broken. We don't see a lot of volume accumulation with a lot of sell pressure within these two volume bars right there, with not a lot of buy volume on the way back up. Not really loving EOS. Yeah, so that's the analysis for that handful right there. So I think I'm just going to be looking at, actually I think I'm going to be looking at XRP. XRP looks like a good potential even on the 15 minutes chart. Just seeing that squeeze coming in. And then also that could be a good opportunity to see a potential move kind of coming all together within the different alts that we're going to be looking at. And then Link looks like it's holding pretty well, which is good to see. We see the first little hold there. Obviously, it's still making lower highs and lower lows, and it's made a lower low, so we're not looking to enter just yet. We want to see the market structure shift on the smaller time frames, like the hour, before we look to enter with some bullish indications, with some bullish volume coming in. All right, so now to the next pair. Dash is looking pretty strong. We are still below a major resistance that we see within the chart, but we'll talk about the market structure in the 4 hour first, and then discuss the smaller time frames. And let's get our snip and then talk about what we're able to see. So we see these ascending trend line that is connecting the higher lows, which got broken. We got a very nice rejection off this point here. Should have looked more short. I was still looking a little bit long. Did not think that we were going to get a massive break, but we did. It's unfortunate we didn't enter that because that was a really swift, solid move towards the downside, hitting a major structural resistance. This is a very well-respected zone on the daily chart where we're getting just the bodies of the candles to close there with the wicks protruding below the area. But on the 4 hour, we get the bodies to close a little bit below the zone. But at this point, we're getting these lower highs connected by a well-respected descending zone, and we have a horizontal level of support, and we're getting the price to squeeze, getting closer to the apex of the pattern. What we need to do is wait for the price to break in either direction and then trade that, because that is where we will find our edge, and that's exactly what we're doing. We've broken this zone. We've tried to push lower once, twice, 3 times. It's not being able to. We're seeing less sell volume coming in each time. That is, for me, a very, very significant check mark that the sellers or the supply is getting weak. It's not getting stronger, it's weakening, because there's a reduced amount of supply coming in each time it's making an attempt to make a move to the downside. And it's not being able to make a break of this zone of like let's say $100 of this support zone. So that shows that the sellers are weakening. What does that mean? That the potential buyers are going to come in and take over the market, showing their confidence. But what we need to see the market structure shift from the downside to consolidation to then the upside. You know, the market doesn't move like this. It moves in waves. It goes up and it goes down. It consolidates. There's a time when there's a consolidation phase, and then there's a time when there's a markup or markdown phase, which is impulse corrective move that is going to either go like this or like this, right? So that is what we're looking for. And right now, we still see that the price is within the range here, so it's bouncing from support to resistance, and we'll take a look at that on the 1 hour chart, because we've discussed the different market structure and the different kind of waves or different scenarios that the market is in, the market structure. So it's either in an uptrend, downtrend, or consolidation. And right now there's trades that we have that are already in the potential uptrend. So it's basically making a consolidation phase, which is not making a higher low, or lower higher lower low, making a consolidation, right? So it's just bouncing from, not making any real move, right? And then if we're breaking, it makes a higher high. And what we're looking for is to enter on the higher low on the pullback once it's validated the previous resistance as a nice new level of support. Once that is done, then we can say, okay, that's great. We have confirmation that there is buyers within the market, and then we can look to enter. So right now we're still at the top of the resistance. So for me, it's not an ideal place to enter. We'd like to see a market structure higher high, and then a market structure higher low. Previous level of resistance, previous level of resistance, key level on the chart, potential level of support that we're able to see as a nice new higher low, and that's where we're going to look to enter. We see contraction in the volume kind of coming in on the 1 hour as well, so then we see a boom pullback. That's where we're going to look to enter, maybe a double bottom, and then hopefully we get a strong move towards the upside. So that's the overall analysis for Dash. We see the market kind of holding the previous resistance as a nice new level of support. We're seeing a nice channel form, which is not a bad thing. It's kind of a good thing. We see a consolidation, and then we're going to get a momentum shift. It's a good thing because all we're looking for is a strong volume bar, as well as a strong bullish engulfing candle that indicates that the momentum is starting. Once that's there, then we'll look to enter, and that is our entry. Oops, so that is Dash. Let's get Dash again. And then ADA will be next. Give me one moment here. All right, so I was just reading a comment there. So we got 6 people on the YouTube, which is great to see. I think we should have set up the TikTok, but that's okay. So let's get ADA's lines a little bit more well defined, like we kind of see here. So on the 4 hour, let's always take it back. This could have been a really good head and shoulders if we did break to the downside, but the buyers definitely seem to be in control. But if we do break to the downside, I'm sure there's a lot of stop losses around that area. We see tons of RVol, which is great to see. Relative volume compared to the recent price action we saw basically for a lot of Q3 and Q4 of 2019. So quite a bit in Q2 of 2019 as well. But overall, on the larger time frames, let's even take it back to the daily. We see that there's a large double bottom coming in, and the major supply zone is going to be around 0.096-ish, around there. Like obviously it's a range, not an exact precise zone. So we do see that we're at a nice level of support. We're going to see this zone right around here. It's a range. We could even bring that up to here, and we're still kind of above that zone. So we're in a mid-range zone. We've broken above it on the daily, held it, and then pulled back, retested the zone as a nice new level of support. We see lots of RVol coming in, and we're looking to get the price from the demand zone to the next supply zone. That is the goal for us, and we'll see how it plays out. It's looking pretty good. The pullback's looking solid. We had one attempt, unfortunately got stopped out, and not on Cardano, but like on the entry on the lows here. Literally got stopped out by a wick, and it definitely won in our favor so far. So it was kind of like that entry right there, or sorry, the entry right there, and then some of our entries got stopped out. So we're still looking to enter on a lot of these alts here. Cardano looks all right. We see a not really confirmed descending zone that could play as a potential zone of confluence as a level of support. On the 1 hour, it looks a little bit better, but on the 4 hour, it looks a little less confirmed. The major zone of support that we're really wanting to pass is the 0.02678 range. That would be a good area to pass because we see it's a very strong level of both resistance and support that is holding the price down. And like we said before, you know, market structure, lower high, lower lows. We do see we could theoretically draw in a consolidation, kind of this zone right here. But for me, the consolidation is really at this highs here. So I'd like to see the price break this major structural consolidation and then form a higher high here and then pull back and form that nice higher low. And once we get that validation of a higher low, then we'll look to enter. So that's ADA. Litecoin, I definitely should have pulled the trigger on. I was looking at the entry after it broke this zone, but you do what you can. I didn't see the confirmation on the overall market structure on the BTC chart before we looked to enter. So we saw a nice descending zone here. Just going to talk about the hour chart. We see lots of rejection. So we see that overall, we see a very, very nice level that we have a dependability on. And then also as a level of confluence, we have a horizontal resistance there turning into a nice level of support. We see two strong injections of buy volume coming in with very, very significant volume accumulation. No real amount of sell volume coming in compared to the amount of buy pressure coming in. Really, really signifying the bulls having major control in this accumulation phase. So for me, the criteria should have been there. I should have entered right here. Yeah, it happens. It was within the time I was awake. I should have looked into it or something. But that's how the market goes. You can't enter every single trade. You definitely want to. We still have a lot of opportunities in the market that is able to provide us with good entries. I'm looking at a lot of hour charts on different monitors I have, but that was a good entry for sure. We saw a lot of buy volume come in by accumulation. We see injections of buy pressure coming into the market. We see strong bullish candles. There is a lot of wicks to the upside there, but looking at the volume bars, looking at the market structure, should have been an entry, but that is all right. Next time. So I think at this point, I'm going to look at other entries because it's a little bit past where I would have wanted to enter. So I'm just going to be looking for different altcoins to be entering in. But that's the analysis for Litecoin. Let's look at the 4-hour chart. Made structural lower lows and lower highs. Structurally speaking, potentially has made a higher highs. Not really there yet on the 4-hour chart. I'd like to see it maybe push a little bit higher up to form that really nice, strong, higher high. On the smaller time frames, obviously, we haven't been making higher highs and higher lows, but on the 4-hour chart, this would be the resistance around the $80 range there for the price to really pass and hold before we can say that we're making structural higher highs and higher lows. But overall, it looks strong. Obviously, if we're able to hold a higher low there, it's gone from making lower lows to making higher lows, which is very strong, signifying the start of a new market trend and a new market cycle. So, looks pretty good. Next level of supply is like the $90 range that I'll be looking at. That's a pretty strong level within the price action. And then another major one is going to be 140, but we got a lot of resistances before we're going to pass that area. So, just for now, Link looks pretty good. We're on a pullback. I still think it's a nice pullback for consolidation phase for a next leg up, but obviously I'm a little biased because that's what I'm expecting for a lot of different alts as well. And that's my analysis for Litecoin. Let's move on to Cosmos or Atom. Let's move on to the 4-hour chart. We were looking at this one. We didn't really enter. There was quite a bit of sell pressure that came in. So we're kind of in a consolidation. I don't really love Atom because the highest kind of take profit we were looking at was this zone here, because even looking at the larger time frames, we're kind of like just consolidating, slowly grinding up. There's not really a nice trend. We have a very strong resistance at $5.30 or 40 cents, and then we have a strong level of support at around $4, kind of bouncing from support to resistance. So if we do get the price to come back down to $4, that would be an area that we would be looking for a potential entry in. But on the 1-hour chart, we got a mid-range zone that it broke. We got a nice squeeze on the hour chart as well as the 15-minute chart, where we got a descending zone break, test for a nice new level of support. There was quite a bit of sell pressure, especially on the 4-hour chart, and especially like all around here. There was this volume right here, which was pretty good, but within the consolidation, there was definitely a little bit more volume that came before this strong buy volume candle right here. You know, it's kind of looking even, didn't look awesome. And then there was a lot of rejections at this point here. So not as appealing as I liked. I think the larger market structure that this has made me not really want to enter, which makes sense. Doesn't look as good as a lot of the other pairs that we're looking at. ETC, I'm not really in love with trading. We do see some zones here we can work with. Obviously, there's a really strong level of resistance right here, as well as a mid-range zone right there. And then we got a bit of an odd range right here because this is the first level I see, but then we also see a resistance right there. So this could be a potential, if we get another low here, for a reverse head and shoulders and then a next leg up, but not really loving it. I'm going to stay patient and look for other markets. That's basically all I'm going to put for the chart, and then I'll put a low right there. And we got some level of a mid-range zone. I think it's more of a rectangular zone than a single zone on a line, but not going to be really looking at Ethereum Classic for any trades. Dash looks really interesting. That's about it. Link looks all right. Cardano looks all right. I think Dash is the most interesting pair that we have within this lower left half here. Let's just quickly look at the different markets. XRP has currently now testing the support. TRX is making a move to the downside, kind of holding its nice level of resistance there. We're not really looking to just jump in randomly. We're looking to enter at the highest probabilities. Link still making lower lows there, not showing a strong sign of bullish activity. And then Dash as well. So the last thing we're going to look at is MATIC, NEO, ZEC, and we got Tesla here. Probably not going to go over it. Well, definitely not going to go over it because this is a crypto market update. But I just like seeing how the price action is going because it's an interesting one, that's for sure. So for MATIC, we see that it broke its previous market structure resistance, which was right here. We see it was a previous level of support. Resistance, 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 turning into a new level of support very nicely here. And then the market is basically squeezing the price. This is a minor level right here. This isn't as important as the major one, which is right here. So let's just make this one green because this is the major market structure support that we want the price to hold. This isn't that important. And then going on to the 4-hour, we do see the price has not yet broken our resistance point. So we got a market structure squeezing the price closer towards the apex, which is coming around here. We do see a squeezing of the volume as well. Let's look at the daily for the volume bars. Not a lot of volume on the daily. A little bit more sell volume, but that makes sense because we're making lower lows and lower highs, but there's not a significant amount of sell pressure coming in. On the 4-hour, we do see that there is significantly more sell volume coming in, but we'll see what the consolidation kind of closer to the actual breakout looks. Because right now we are seeing a little bit more buy volume compared to the sell volume. And then let's look at the 1-hour. Yeah, definitely the 1-hour shows strong buy volume compared to the sell volume. Within the potential breakout phase, we do see that there's a nice market structure resistance right here, potentially turning into a nice level of support, it looks like, which is great to see. I'm just going to make that white. So looks good. Not going to be entering just yet, but and then we also have a nice market structure resistance right there. I'm not going to draw it in, but we do have that nice little resistance right around there. So we'll see how the market reacts. I think I'm going to make this a little bit less significant, kind of like that. So we're able to see the price action a little bit more, even a little bit more, kind of like so. So yeah, that is the trend line confluence zone that we're going to be looking at. Previous resistance turning into a potential new level of support. I'd like to see the price really break out of this zone. But for now, we'll see how the price reacts. We could also potentially connect this zone like so. So we've already broken kind of like the first zone, and then we can kind of make a market structure here. But I'm going to stick with what we have on the 4-hour chart because that really shows that we haven't really truly broken the zone, and I'd like to see the price really break out above this zone, make a really strong, clear market structure. But on the 4-hour, we made a structural higher high. This is a resistance, 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 and structurally made a higher high, and this could be a potential higher low. And already we've seen the higher lows squeezing the price up, making a squeeze, having the decision from the market move towards the upside. So it looks pretty good overall for MATIC, and it looks pretty bullish. We got our major structural resistance at around 0.0277-ish or 0.0265 around there. So it's looking pretty good for the move. We haven't entered yet because we haven't really seen any strong conviction from the buyers. But we're definitely looking for opportunities. NEO is, like we said, still haven't broken the consolidation phase. It's for the long-term time frame. We're looking very similar for a lot of different alts. We see that on a larger time frame, we're seeing that there's a double bottom at play, and then we haven't hit the major zone right there. Although, if we're looking on the weekly, you can probably see that the major resistance is at like $17-ish, so it's not too far off. But you know, from the low here to where we could see a level of resistance, you know, it's a pretty decent amount of space that we could climb. So in my opinion, it's worth the risk. Even just to the recent high, that's a pretty significant move just for the double top. 15%, definitely worth the potential entry. So market structure looks sound, but we haven't broken the higher high yet, so we're not looking to enter. Although it is showing us that it's really validating this market resistance right here, which is great to see. We got a zone of confluence where we have the horizontal zone right here, which is a market previous structure high, and then we also see a descending zone, very well respected zone right around here, and then we see that the price is respecting this zone yet again to really show us that there's a nice level of resistance there. What are we looking for? We're looking for a previous level of resistance turning into a new level of support at our zone of confluence. That is the highest probability of entering at this point in time. We want to see a validation of a new level of support before our first entry there, and then our first take profit is going to probably be right there, second level of take profit right there, higher than 2-to-1 risk reward for first level of take profit. That's what we're looking for, and that's what we're going to play. NEO looks, in my opinion, better than MATIC, more respected, and I'm very happy with the structure of NEO. Definitely an opportunity for us to be entering in. Zcash, let's just see what the hour time frame is able to provide us in terms of a descending zone. Oops. Oh. Yeah, there's a potential. So we have a descending zone right there. And then we will get our projection and outline the market structure there with our projection. And then we will pull the projection zone to the type 2, which is the candle body closure at the zone there. So we're just encompassing the body of the wick. So we got now the overall market structure resistance, and now we're going to get our market structure support, and now we got a nice squeeze in the price. Great well-respected zone for ZEC. So we got another zone or another trade that we could have for a potential entry, and we're just going to do a nice little resistance, support area. So we got a very nice, well-defined symmetrical triangle within a key zone of support, just above a key zone of support. So that looks really healthy. ZEC looks like a great opportunity for us. It's also at a previous level of support. We can see at around $57 and $58. So I'm very optimistic if it does break the resistance there and break this current structural resistance that we can see right here. And if we're able to break this zone and hold for a nice new level of a market structure high and a market structure low, we're looking to enter on the higher low that it is going to potentially come in and have. So ZEC looks good. I'm going to put that. I think it's a better opportunity than MATIC in my opinion. I think it's a better respected chart. So I'm going to be looking at that as well. And then, yeah, that's it. That is all the alts that we're going to be looking at. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, drop them in the YouTube comments section below. We will be notifying the Performante Premium members if we're going to be entering any pairs. Looks like there's a little bit of bearish action coming in with BTC forming a little bit of a bearish candle. XRP potentially making a low. We'll see if it's able to hold that recent lower low. Not a lot of coins are looking great right now, but obviously we're still holding above support, so we can't judge. This could be a nice potential pullback to enter on some feeler trades that we were talking about before. We're looking for longs. We're looking to enter on long side exposure. So that is our bias that we're going to be playing with the market. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, like I said, drop them in the comments. And until next time, happy trading. Hopefully everyone has a good weekend. We definitely will. We are looking for good opportunities for this upcoming week. I think this upcoming week will definitely have a lot of volatility. Hopefully we will have some good opportunities in the markets. I currently have a good tune with the markets, in my opinion, with how the flow is for many alts that we have. So good feeling to have, and hopefully we're able to not get wicked out and get some good high probability situations. Really unfortunate. We got a feeler trade on BTC. We had a really nice opportunity on XRP that we entered on, got wicked out, and then moved to the upside. We probably would have been able to mitigate risk by now and completely been risk free, but it happens. I'm back testing a tremendous amount, and yeah, really trying to get those entries on point. Really putting in the hours to A, get the entries on point, and B, just cut down the number of wrong entries, which obviously is every trader's goal, but really putting in the time to backtest a shit ton and go over it over and over again. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with my weekend, and slowly paying off, and that's good to see. So if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. We make videos every day, and until next time, happy trading. Hopefully everyone got something out of this video.